everyone, I'm Sophie White and I work for Nomad Digital as Marketing Officer. And today I am joined by Ian Brimer, Global Head of Business Systems. Hi Ian.
Morning.
Um, Ian, if you want to just start off by telling us a little bit about you and what you do for Nomad and when you started.
Okay, so I started back in January 2013, initially as Head of Procurement. I'm currently employed as Global Head of Business Systems. So I'm based in Newcastle at the headquarters. I manage a number of the key central functions, so departments such as procurement, QHSE, system admin, and also some of the service departments which service our customers and our internal customers around the world, both from an in-country service management, but also from a service desk aspect.
Oh, that's great. And can you tell us a little bit about the history of Nomad as we were a start-up to now?
Yeah, so Nomad was a true startup tech business. It started back in 2002. A couple of very bright Geordies started the business off. And basically they were looking at how you could transmit large volumes of data utilizing mobile networks, but at high speed, so i.e. on trains. So from that concept, Nomad Digital was born. The initial proof of concept was with Southeastern Rail, and then as a consequence of that, they were then awarded a contract. But as a true, startup tech business, they were formed in Newcastle, based in Newcastle, and we continue to work from Newcastle today.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. And obviously two individuals started the company up in 2002, very entrepreneurial. Could you tell us a little bit about the history behind Nomad?
Yeah, so I wasn't around in 2002 when it started, but a number of my team were. So there's a person in my team that was employee number 10, and she tells me back then it was a very exciting time to be around the business. I think fairly chaotic. I don't think any one person had one job. Everyone kind of helped and worked it out. Now the business grew incredibly fast. So I think it was a high pressure environment. I think, people that, back then worked long hours and varied jobs, but it was a very exciting time to be around the business. And I think, even today we continue to capture that spirit within Nomad in terms of the technology and, how we view topics now. So I still think we have that entrepreneurial drive to generate new technologies and take ideas from our customers and from our staff. So we still capture that at our heart, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And how many people are based in the Newcastle head office and how has that evolved since 2002 startup to now?
Well, as I say, it started with only a handful of people back in 2002. There's about 109 staff now based in Newcastle at One Trinity on the quayside. In total, we've got just short of 350 staff around the world. Our biggest office is Newcastle by far. And when I joined the company back in 2013, a lot of our senior exec roles were based in London. And we had an office in London. We've kind of since closed that office because a lot of the senior roles are based in Newcastle, and a lot of the central functions we've moved into Newcastle. So it is a real sort of global hub for the rest of the world for us.
Yeah, and it sounds like the head office in Newcastle is a very busy place. Do you want to tell us a little bit about some of the key functions within that office and how they've grown?
Yeah, so I mean, clearly R&D is a hugely important function for us. The R&D function, or one of the R&D functions, sits in Newcastle, along with a number of other centralized functions, the usual business support functions you would expect to see, from a head office, from HR to marketing, finance, all of these main functions sit there. For me in business systems, obviously I've already mentioned the fact I have a number of support functions, but I guess one of the main key functions from a customer perspective is the service desk. So we have a technical service desk that sits in Newcastle. It supports, we've got around 40 plus customers in O&M. So they support all of those customers around the world. That's around 12, just over 12,000 vehicles, and it runs 365 days, 24/7. So even on Christmas Day, trains run on Christmas Day, so we still work Christmas Day. And this is a hugely important function for us. So there's about 20 or 30 staff in there, and they do all of the technical support from customers, passengers, to our own internal teams based in countries. All of these calls and traffic come through the Newcastle office.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. Quite a big department as well with a lot of responsibility. Could you tell us a little bit about or have you seen a lot of personal development within employees in the Newcastle head office?
Yeah, I think certainly recently, since I've been managing the business systems function, we've really looked at, a number of the teams, like IT systems, procurement, QHSE, and as I've said previously, the service desk. We've looked at these teams as kind of what almost our incubator units, if you like, for the rest of the business. And we've had some phenomenal success in terms of bringing people in at a relatively junior level. So in something like the last 18 months, we've moved in excess of 14, 15 people on from those departments into then more senior roles, which I think is great for the business to be able to promote from within, to take people at a grassroots level, bring them in from university, give them the basic skills, educate them about Nomad, our values, and what we have at our core, and then take that kind of enthusiasm to move on. And we've moved people into DevOps roles, into field service engineering roles, into more senior roles, and we've made a real success of it. So there's real opportunity now in Nomad, and we've got some really good examples.
Yeah, we have, and it's really good to highlight that. Actually, next up on this video is some case studies of that. But before we go on to that, Ian, could you please just give us some top tips on what you think is, the key to a successful business, and tips yeah.
Okay, sorry.
All right.
So for me, it's quite simple. I think behind all of the ideas, the technologies, the success at Nomad is either an individual, a person, or a group of people. And I think, from all across all tech businesses, in fact, businesses worldwide, the success of a business comes from its people. And I think when you've got the right people and you provide them with the right tools, the skills, and sometimes just the time to go away and look at, new things, I think this is kind of where, businesses really succeed. And I'd like to think at Nomad we do that. We offer training. I've talked about progression. I've talked about some of the examples we've got. So for me, I think it boils down to quite simple. You need to manage your people well and give them the opportunities to grow. And I think from that, naturally will breed success.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you very much, Ian. And we'll now go on to a story from Ryan Mills, who's progressed through procurement, and then we'll go on to Stuart Bishop, who's been from service desk to DevOps.
Great. Thank you, Sophie.
Thank you, Ian. Hi, everyone. I'm now with Ryan, who works in our procurement department at Nomad. So hi, Ryan.
Hi, Sophie.
Do you want to just tell us a little bit about you?
Yeah, so I'm 31 years old. I'm from Newcastle originally, where Nomad is. I've been at Nomad since 2016 in the procurement buyer position.
So how would you say your role has changed over the years? What did you start off as and what are you now?
Yes, it's changed massively. So I came in as the SIM development manager at Nomad in 2016. Well, it's a very cool title. I was looking after SIM cards, essentially, looking at petabytes of data, not gigabytes, for the train connectivity. It was still within procurement, but looking after a set of suppliers and a set of customers, not too much. But 2 years ago, I was given the opportunity to go into kind of a more group role, looking kind of a global procurement buyer. So my role today is procurement buyer. I look after every single supplier Nomad have, global scale, whether it's Australia, America, UK, France, everywhere is kind of my responsibility.
Yeah, and you work very closely with our suppliers. So could you tell us a little bit about how your role supports them and how that, and in turn, how that supports Nomad and our customers?
Yes, I mean, working closely with suppliers is my day-to-day, Sophie. I do it every single day. when opportunities come up, we both want to win them. No one want to win them. Suppliers want to win them as well. It's all about, number one, getting the right price with the suppliers, ensuring that, we are competitive, which we are, and ensuring that the right terms are there. So, if you buy something from Amazon, Sophie, and you want to return it within, 30 days because it's slightly defective or you just don't like it, you can. It's about getting, the price is right, lead time is right, so it's delivered on time, and the terms are right as well. If there's any unique kind of bespoke requirements for the customer, if they want certain things, it's including those as well into the opportunities and offers, I suppose.
Yeah, definitely. And just with your current role at Nomad, could you just tell us a little bit about from start to finish, from an opportunity, a bid, to how it goes in the the actual delivery?
Yes, so my role kind of picks up, Sophie, into the when the bid cycle starts. So an opportunity comes out, there's a bid live. What do we do? I'll get a big list of essentially a bit of a shopping list in terms of these are the things we need. This would be quite nice. Can we get this? It's then my role to kind of go to the suppliers and say, look, this is what we need. Can you offer this? What's your price? What's your lead time? What's your terms? And then we kind of accumulate all those offers together. Obviously, we'll negotiate in between and get the best possible price and terms we can. So we always work with them. But once we accumulate all that, it goes together, and that pricing is used for kind of the final bid pricing, and the customer gets that as a big opportunity. Once they've got that and hopefully won the bid, it's then time to deliver it. So we'll then kind of place the order with the supplier and then track it through every single day. So once the equipment's actually physically arrived at the location, we kind of branch off with the quality team and look over quality and QHSE, any issues or problems with the hardware, make sure everything's absolutely perfect for the customer.
So, and it's clearly very important as well, from a customer service point of view, that everything's right and going. So you've got a very important role within Nomad, and Nomad's vision of connecting everything. How would you see your role being part of that?
Yeah, so I think procurement's quite a unique department. So if we were every department, whether it's marketing, HR, finance, product, R&D, you need to buy some sort of service, product, or labor to do what you need to do. So I'm involved with everyone around the business needs to speak to procurement at some point. In terms of kind of connecting the bigger picture, I think the bigger smart city concept, it's either about me kind of stepping with certain suppliers and certain technical colleagues, whether we have a PIS opportunity, whether we have a CBM, whether it's standard Wi-Fi or passenger counting. It's kind of my role to kind of work in this bigger kind of jigsaw of the smarter city concept and say, okay, this is the product for there, this is the product there, this is the product for there. It's just about bringing it all together, all these different kind of parts. So it's a certainly unique role because I support that entire Nomad concept going forward. So it's it's fun. It's fun.
Yeah. And finally, what advice do you have for people who may be looking to start a career in procurement? What's something, if you could go back, you would tell yourself?
So I think, don't be afraid to jump into the deep end, Sophie. I think we all do procurement day to day, whether it's, online shopping, whether it's the local market, haggling and negotiating. We all want the best possible price, want the product the quickest we can and the best terms we can. So I think, don't be afraid to jump into it. We all do it day to day. It's just kind of, trying to work on that kind of, that talent and just bring it up a little bit for an actual career in it.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much, Ryan. It's been really good chatting to you. And I'm sure if anyone wants to get in touch, they can connect with you on LinkedIn.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.
Hi everyone, I'm now here with Stuart Bishop, who works in our Devops team in Newcastle head office. Hi Stuart.
Hello.
Stuart, if we could just start off by you telling us a little bit about you and what you do for Nomad and when you started.
No problem. As Sophie introduced me, I'm Stuart Bishop. I work in the Newcastle office for Nomad Digital. I started back in 2015, so quite a few years ago. I'm now a member of the Devops team working as a performance engineer. We, in a high level kind of sense, we manage and gatekeeper all the kind of configurations which are used in our live solutions and in our projects.
Well, that sounds really interesting. I'm sure we'll get a little bit more into that soon. Just going back to 2015 when you started at Nomad, Stuart, that is quite a while ago now. And what was your first job at Nomad?
So I joined as a service desk administrator, it was called then. It's now changed to become an analyst. I worked just standard shift patterns, 4 or 5 days a week, just supporting the live production trains, our customers, people on board, passengers, and then kind of progressed on from there. But yeah, service desk was my kind of first and foremost.
And can you just talk us through a little bit about how you've progressed at Nomad and what your next role was and how you've kind of got into DevOps?
Yeah, so as I say, I was a service desk analyst for a few years, predominantly worked with night shifts, at which point we got a new manager in after our previous manager moved on to a different role. And she identified that I was quite technical. I was very good at doing the kind of technical investigations and deep dives into common problems, trying to find solutions. So I was moved into a change coordinator role, became the first change coordinator at Nomad. Developed and built a process behind change control, which is still used today.
Wow.
After a short period of time, I kind of found during that role that I started to really enjoy the technical aspects of the role, the configurations, the kind of, I guess what people would call the nerdy stuff. Being a bit of a geek myself, it kind of really spoke to me and I really enjoyed it. And I started doing a lot of work myself. We didn't have a DevOps department at the time. So I was doing a lot of work on my own, kind of learning as I went along, and I kind of fell in love with it. After that, I completely changed my career and went off into service management. So I actually joined a sales team for 6 months under service management about a year or two ago. Didn't work out so well. I didn't enjoy it. It wasn't for me. I'd recently some changes in my personal life had kind of become a bit hindered by that. So I came back to the service desk, took over handover, which again, brand new role, something never been done before, came straight into my lap. Ran that for a year, developed a process, working on delivery projects, which is where the DevOps link came in, because delivery and DevOps are really close knit together. So I basically became introduced to that team and worked really closely with that team for the last year. And then, job came along and I just had to take it.
So over the past 5 years, you've really transitioned and been part of a lot of innovation as well, a lot of first-time roles, which is really exciting. So you are a fine example at Nomad for development and going on to new roles. Have you got any tips for anyone on how to do that, and for anyone who's listening who may be in a job who is looking to progress? Have you got any tips?
Yeah, I thought about this a little bit over the past few years, actually, because it's been asked a lot as to, how have I done what I've done? How have I progressed so well at a company? And, Nomad has its 4 core values. I always say to people, there's a 5th one we don't really introduce to people, which is curiosity. People, you need to work hard, you need to be patient, but being curious about the industry, being curious about what we do. The service desks don't get exposed to lots of kind of internal workings, but if you're curious about it and find your own way through it, you can learn everything you need to know, and it's how I've got where I am today.
That's some really good advice. It's definitely very true. You've definitely just got to take the plunge sometimes and ask. And clearly with your roles as well, because they didn't exist. So that's great. And well, Nomad especially, but any technology company is very fast-paced. So do you find that challenging at times, working for an extremely fast-paced company? Do you enjoy it?
Yeah, I enjoy it. Of course I do. It's it's what I thrive upon. I love technology. I love what we do. Recently we've kind of completely introduced a new solution which has changed the way we work. I was one of the lucky people to be trained in that solution, and that's completely changed what we do. And if you don't enjoy the fast-paced nature, then you kind of get left behind. Whereas it's a great thing to just learn constantly every day. I always say to the new starters, 5 years in and I'm still learning, because it just changes constantly.
Definitely. And at the moment, you're currently in the DevOps team, and I would say that DevOps is a buzzword in the tech industry. So could you just explain to us a little bit about how the DevOps team at Nomad support our customers and what role you play in the overall kind of vision?
Yeah, not a problem. So I'll backtrack a little bit to, when I was in service desk doing handovers and changes. We didn't have much of a gatekeeper system. We a lot of the work was kind of done ad hoc, and we were kind of just a little bit free at times. Lately though, DevOps has come in and become a gatekeeper to what we do. It adds a lot more control to the solutions on board, so there's less risk being taken with what we're doing, with what we're deploying to our customers. A lot more testing, a lot more kind of verification and validation, and it gives the customers a bit more confidence. It gives the internal teams a lot more confidence that they have a point of contact now who inherently own the configurations. We own the solution.
Yeah.
Developers give us the kind of base, the foundation, but we build for customer requirements, and the customers can then rely on us to be able to do not just in our own little world do what we need to do, but we talk to them. We speak to the customer, we speak to the teams, we learn what they want, and we integrate what they want.
Definitely. And I think in all your roles, you've probably been involved with a lot of customers, but have you got any memories or proudest moments with a particular project at Nomad, which you want to tell us a little bit about and how you helped and supported that?
I could probably think of about 3, if that's okay. I've got 3 at the moment. I'll go back to when I was on the service desk working under Katrina at the time. We had a bit of a situation down in London with one of our fleets. We lost a number of trains due to a poor configuration release. So there was myself and about 4 other members of staff got on a train, went down to London and spent all weekend for 12-hour days in Victoria Station, if I remember rightly.
Yeah.
Might have been Victoria Waterloo. On jumping on trains, repairing these trains' configurations, jumping off, testing, making sure it worked. Next train would come in, we'd jump on that again. It was difficult. It was really hard. But coming out of that, I actually won my first award at Nomad.
Wow.
One of 3 I've won for just collaboration, because we worked so well together. It was a really proud moment to be recognised by the company as a member of a service desk, being recognised by the company globally. It's a really proud achievement to have. We're somewhat overlooked on the desk at times, so it was really good for everyone to be recognised. Second one was more recent. It was when I came back into O&M, joining the Brimer's team in handover. I was given the pleasure of working on the new DSB project, which took on the brand new solution, which we took in from 21net, Nomad Connect. First time it had been worked on the desk, so it was a really difficult time. We had a lot to learn, but myself and the team did brilliantly. The customer's been really high praise on how the project went, and a lot of the project was led by my guys and myself, and it was really proud achievement to be able to deliver something brand new we'd never looked at successfully, and the customer's been really happy with it, so that's great. And the last one is the one I'm working on now, CCJPA. It's a big project for Nomad, and to be involved in such a big project, in coming into the role as a new member is really quite impressive. And I'm able to use the Zabbix training I was recently put on by Nomad all the time on this project. It's why I'm doing it. So it's great to be able to use what the company's paid for to do my job.
Oh, that's great. And it's really inspiring and very innovative, the stuff you've been involved in. So I guess finally, have you got any advice for anyone listening who may want to start a career in tech?
Yeah, go back to curiosity, be brave. Obviously you need to kind of understand the tech around the globe as a whole. We are a wireless communications company in the end, so understanding the various wireless communications, it's needed in a tech industry, especially if you do a role like myself. However, just being brave enough to kind of take that step into going beyond what you do. So many people kind of get stuck in doing what they do on a day-to-day basis, but it's being able to, and I think something that everyone in Nomad is great at, from the service desk to the HR departments to finance to marketing to dev, everyone's really good at just kind of thinking outside the bubble, being a little bit braver and taking that little bit of a risk, and it usually pays off. And it's being curious about what we do and learning.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely agree with that. I definitely think outside the box, in a fast-paced company is definitely key.
Yeah. It's definitely needed.
Well, thank you very much, Stuart. I'm sure if anyone wants to speak to Stuart, I'm sure he'd be open to that. If you're on LinkedIn, just give a search.
Yeah, I am. Yep.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Stuart.
No problem.